This video is sponsored by EA Game Changers program. They were kind enough to give me a code, and it was fantastic. I love everything about them right now. Battlefield 5 Alpha was just mind-blowing, so props to them. This is a sponsored video, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, BrettFX here. We're going to be talking about classes. And it shouldn't be too long of a video. I know the last couple of them that I've done have been like 20-minute long videos, and hey, if you have watched all the way through them, props to you, man. Internet high five. I'd give you a hug if I could. A monitor, that'd look weird. Anyways, let's get on into it. So classes, let's talk about them right now. So far, classes feel pretty good. Overall, I didn't really have any problems with them. I did play. I played at least one round with all of them except for the pilot. I don't fly planes. That is not me. I am also an infantry-centric player, so you know, while I'm giving you this information, just know that I am an infantry player through and through. I have been since the very start of the franchise. It's probably never going to change. So let's get right onto some Recon. So for the moment, Recon kit is, well, it's pretty bare bones. I mean, it's a sniper class. That's pretty much it. It is it feels a lot better than what it did in Battlefield 1, in my opinion. It's not as springy. I know that's a really weird way to describe it, but it feels like you really need to aim onto your headshots. There's a little bit more time in between shots there. It's just not as snappy as what it was in Battlefield 1. Now, that's not to say that it's not as effective. There are a couple of guys, Stud, Mugs. Those guys, I was watching them stream earlier. Holy crap, they were throwing up some massive numbers with the Recon kit. So things that I would like to see change with it, more bullet drop. Right now, it's a laser beam across map. I think that they need to add some bullet drop to it. That is going to help. Not completely fix the problem with people going mass recon, but it'll help because it'll be a little bit more difficult. Doesn't need to be too difficult, just a little bit more difficult. You do have the spawn beacon back, so this is something that Battlefield 4 players, Battlefield 3 players know about. Spawn beacons on the Recon class. In my opinion, I am so happy that they are back. It opens up a lot of possibilities for the class itself and for your team and what they can do. I know from a competitive standpoint, spawn beacons were banned in some leagues, but I know for our 10v10 leagues, especially Simthic and WEL, we did have spawn beacons allowed, and it really does change how the maps can play out by having those beacons into it. So I'm really happy to see those finally coming back. Now, with that said, we are going to be seeing spawn beacon play being used, but I would like to see all kit weapons maybe come back in for the Recon class. So with a bolt action, you're not going to be getting up front. I'm not saying that nobody will play aggressive Recon because that's always going to be a thing, but it's not really that viable. I mean, let's be honest with you. You're not going to be doing too awful much damage, or the 99% of us aren't going to be doing too much damage with it. So I'd like to see an SMG all-kit weapon, shotgun, something like that be a primary so that I can use that to get up front, get close, personal, throw my spawn beacon down onto an objective, and I can do as much damage as possible. We can harass, and we can just really, you know, just harass and damage as much as possible on a particular objective or a flag. That's what I did in Battlefield 4, and it was so effective. I'd like to see that coming back. The last thing for the Recon class that was there was the spotter scope. To me, this was completely useless. Like, why was it even in there? Did anybody actually use this effectively? I got shot more times trying to use it than I did anything. So to me, it was pretty useless. Actually, the last thing is the flare gun. The flare gun, you only get one shot as you spawn in, and the higher you shoot, or the higher the angle that you shoot it, the more area that it covers. To me, it wasn't that overpowered. It does show, I believe, in a the 3D spotting, I think, for just a few seconds. It's like a blip or something. But for the most part, I really didn't see it that use that effectively. I know some guys were saying that over on C Flag it was pretty annoying, but to be honest with you, I didn't really run into it a whole lot. So I'd be really kind of curious to see how it fares in the main game. But right now, I'd much rather gone with the spawn beacon than I would the actual flare gun. So I don't know. That's just me. Next thing, we're going to talk about the Assault class. So this was by and far my favorite class of the game. I think that a lot of people would say that as well. Had the best gun, arguably had the best gun, the STG. It was just a laser beam at range if you tap fired it, and just all around really good gun. So first of all, I think that there needs to be more recoil on the gun. I went on to this for a little bit in a different video. You guys can go check that out. But I think there needs to be more recoil on the gun vertically, less on it horizontally, and I do think there needs to be some bullet drop added for those long distance shots. I think that the class is pretty balanced though overall. Like while it was the most powerful class in the game, it didn't feel like especially when I was a medic with an MP40, like I still felt like I could gun with it back and forth. And I know a lot of you guys are gonna go, "Oh no, you can't. You cannot beat the STG. It was so good, so good." Yeah, whatever. Okay, I still felt like I was able to outgun an STG when I had my timings and my position right, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, you just have to be in the right spots. I mean, you can't expect to just do a 180 and outgun somebody that could potentially be as good or better than you. Like, that's just ridiculous. So I think that it's sitting in a pretty good spot right now. It just needs to have those few little tweaks. The amount of explosives that it has, I think, needs to be reduced. Right now, if you go to a depot, you can actually get 5 explosives. I think that's too many rockets, especially with where the tanks are at right now. I would like to see it reduced down to 3. If you don't reduce it down to 3, you need to buff up the tank's health, because at the moment you can go get those 5 rockets and you can burst on a tank so freaking fast that he won't even know what hits him, especially with how cumbersome the tanks are, and what the map design was for this particular map was not very tank friendly. And if that's indicative of what we're going to be having for other maps, even if that's like for 50% of the maps, then you know, it's going to be really rough for tanks to have any kind of fun when one assault player can literally burst them down in less than a minute. I mean, it's really ridiculous how fast you can shoot these things. Right now, there is a delay on the rocket. Like, so when you pull it up to ADS, there's a slight little delay on shooting it. I would like to see that gone. I would also like to see hip fire back. So one advantage that the assault class has over Battlefield 1 is the fact that you don't have to lay down in order to shoot your rocket. That was a horrible design choice in Battlefield 1, and it really made the tanks more powerful than what the tanks actually were. The tanks in BF1 weren't really that good. They were actually horrible. But because you had to lay down in a static position and then shoot at a tank, and with the addition of all the ricochets, it was ridiculous. The tank could find you and no problem and be able to take you out, because you literally had to sit there in front of them going, "Hey guys, I'm here with my rockets." You need to be able to move, and you can do that right now as it is. You can move around, you can ADS, fire your rockets. It's much better than what it was previously. So I like the spot where the assault class is in now. Consequently though, as I stated before, tanks, well, they're in a bad spot. But I think that the tank needs buff, not the explosives nerfed. Other than that, your assault class is going to be your main damage dealer, and it fills that role absolutely well. I'm really excited to see what they're going to be coming out with different guns for this particular class. I'm hoping that we can see more attachments on them for sights and the such. I would like to be able to put a sight on the STG. The other submachine gun that was there, I really didn't use it all that often. Something was really weird with the ADSing. It felt off. I really don't know how to describe it. And so I really didn't use it a whole lot. I pretty much stayed with the STG, but then again, why wouldn't you? I mean, like I said, it had range and everything in its advantage, so it was a pretty decent gun to have overall. Next, we're going to talk about the support. So I actually have quite a bit on the support here for feedback-wise. So right now, the support class has some issues. I mentioned this in a previous video, but the ADS and the horrific horizontal recoil for it really hampers this class. You cannot go gun to gun, one-on-one with other classes that are assault or medic. You just can't. Some may say, well, you're not supposed to. Yeah, you should be able to. Like, you should be able to one-on-one with them to a certain extent. And right now, you just can't. What this does to the class is it forces it into a back style play of role. It forces it to play behind that front lines, a far distance back too. Because if it does try to get on those front lines and it tries to go to those gun rows, it will die a lot, and it does. Even some of the better players that I did see trying to use the LMG quickly turned off of it just because they were losing fights left and right. I really want to see the ADS increased just slightly, and I would like to see the horizontal recoil toned down. So this is going to allow the gun to be used in a more forward position. It'll allow him to get the ammo to those players that he needs to. If not, I think we're going to run into the same problem that we did with the medic previously in Battlefield 1, to where medics were scarce because it just simply wasn't fun to play that class. It was a chore to have to go out and get those revives and get those meds and not be able to hold your own in a gunfight. I'm not saying you couldn't. Many players did, but overall, it wasn't fun to do. And that's really, in the end, what we're looking for is fun. I would like to see the decrease in damage of the mines. So right now you get 2 mines. Both of them do 50% damage to the tank. I think that needs to be toned down. As of right now, you can pretty much cover, especially on that last map, you can cover the top lane, all of it, with mines. You can have 3 support players up there and cover it with mines. And there's so much debris and stuff on the ground that it's really hard to actually see the mines themselves, to spot them out. So I think that if they would reduce the damage down to like maybe 40 or 35%, I'd say like 40 or 37% maybe, so that it takes at least 3 mines to kill a tank. That would be, I think, a good compromise. Again, tanks are in a bad spot already. They're so weak, and they're just paper right now. So give them a little bit of a buff by taking down this explosives. I think would help out quite a bit. Ammo boxes, not the pouches, but the boxes that you set down need to be more visible. So there is an ammo box that you set down, but there's an animation to actually get the ammo out of the box. That needs to be something where you can see more. There's a lot of times where I just walked right over the box because I thought it was part of the map. I thought it was just a piece of debris. I didn't realize that helped. It says press E to grab ammo. Okay, you know, it took me a little while to kind of notice those type of things, and you really had to look out for them. I think they need to be more noticeable. If a player is going to sacrifice the quickness of a med bag to have a ammo box set down, they need to be able to reap the rewards of that. Also, I think that the ammo pouches need to be toned down in how much ammo they give if you're going to have an ammo box. So I'd like to see the ammo pouches maybe give, you know, only about 20 bullets or so, maybe at a pouch, instead of as much as what they do. That way, you know, it actually makes sense to have the box and the pouch, and not just like there's no advantage of having a box right now because you have to physically go over there and grab it out. It's not like what it used to be where you just magically resupply everything that you have. And let's see, the faster placing of fortifications are awesome for the support kit. So I did notice this when I was putting down sandbags and stuff. It's like boom, done, boom, done, boom, done. I love that fact. But I do think that there needs to be some more team-oriented, objective-oriented fortifications. Something in there that actually has an impact on the game more so than what the sandbags do, and the tank traps. And also, when I was playing support, it wasn't real clear where a lot of those tank traps were at. I did build a couple of them, but like I said, it was kind of like, you know, I had to go hunting for them to find them, and that's going to come with map knowledge and time playing the game. But I do think that you can kind of maybe point them out a little bit more as you are the support class. I would like to see depots actually require a support class to repair them. So right now, depots, they'll start to crumble, and they'll literally just be like a little bitty tube on the ground for ammo, and you can still grab packs of ammo out of it. I would like to see, as the depots destroy, they deteriorate in the amount of ammo that they give and the amount of health that they give, and you have to have a support class go over there and actually heal them up, repair them up. That have it be like, you know, another focal point, a secondary objective that he has to go and actually do. Make them more team-oriented in another sense. All right, so last but certainly not least in terms of the infantry is going to be the medic. So First and foremost, the medic is my second favorite class. I have probably some footage that you've seen either in this one or a previous video of just, oh, the MP40 is so good. I love that gun. I think that it's in a really good spot, and I hope that they continue on with the medic guns in that direction. The DMR, I think, needs to have a little bit of a nerf done. It's a bit too easy to spam it, and I don't know how to do that. Maybe add some vertical recoil to it, or maybe add... I really don't know what to do to it, to be honest with you. The SMG or the assault rifle that it has is just, it's fantastic. I love it. I would like to see the medic be able to cancel squad medic revive animations. So when you go in for a revive, I would like to be able to, as soon as I start getting hit, to just stop. I don't know if they can fix this with a hold down button, or you click another button, or you just simply move. You know, having it to where if you hit the S or the W key, it just simply takes you out of that animation. That might be a little bit annoying to get used to. I don't know, but you do need to be able to cancel those animations and get out of there if you are taking damage. It shouldn't be something that you are locked into. I would like to see that the revive be slightly faster, the revive animation slightly faster. Maybe, you know, I was thinking about this earlier too. Maybe if you had, like, held down the revive, so the syringe, so that you pulled the syringe out, and then when you ran up to the guy to revive him, it would revive him like half as fast or twice as fast than if it did if you just walked up to him and pushed the revive button. Something like that. To where it does take a little bit of prep work in order to have that fast revive, you know, a little bit of thought behind it. Let the medic have access to other nades. I don't know if this is the case, if they're going to be restricting lethal nades to certain classes or not, but nades were restricted in the alpha. Definitely would like to see something more than just smokes. That kind of sucked. Have the medic box stand out more. This was the same thing with the support box earlier. It just didn't stand out all that much. It was hard to see, hard to spot out. I think they need to make sure that, you know, people know, hey, I'm using a medic box. I don't have pouches. Here's where you get your health. Here's where you get your ammo. Yada, yada, yada. So on and so forth. So, so far, infantry classes are sitting really good. I like them all. I think that they're pretty well balanced overall. I'm really excited to see how they're going to develop with the archetypes. I'm hoping that they don't get too crazy. I'm really worried about the archetypes in terms of will they allow like more health on certain kits, and if they do, then that means that you're going to be getting used to killing in a certain amount of time, and then you're going to be turning off of that person. It's like, oh no, he needed another bullet to die. That might get a little frustrating. I hope that they don't go that route. I hope that it sticks. I don't know what they're going to do. I think that is going to be part of the case. There's also going to be a suppression element, and that's where I was talking about before, where I do think suppression is going to be on certain archetypes. I hope that's not the case, but I feel like that is going to be something that will happen in that respect. So archetypes are still relatively unknown. Last one but not least is going to be vehicles. So obviously tanks need a buff in armor. They're just sitting in a terrible position. The battlefield players from BF4 and 3, the tankers, the vehicle players, they're just, there's nothing here for them. There really isn't. If you are a main tanker in those games, you are not going to like the tanking in Battlefield 5, in my opinion. It's just not fun. The tanks are not as mobile. The tanks are, like I said, they're just paper. They're going to get shredded in no time whatsoever. And maybe that's going to get fixed with some perks. Maybe that's going to get buffed up later on. I am not too sure. I would like to see the MG cooldown be drastically reduced. I mean, it's... I don't know. I feel like it is just... It's way too quick on the cooldown. It needs to kind of be probably about 50% longer than what it is right now, just because there are a lot of times where, you know, you need to spray to try and get a good suppressing fire, for lack of a better term, in a certain area. And then last, I think that the animations going in and out of it could either be sped up or completely taken out. Especially the animation getting out of the vehicle, I think needs to be completely taken out. What this does is it really does focus in on the players to try and use the in the tank repair mechanic, but from what I can see, you can only repair up to a certain extent with that. So you're going to end up, and I saw this a lot with a lot of abandoned tanks, where players just jumped out of it because they knew they weren't going to be able to survive because you could throw rockets at them so fast. So I'd like to see the animation either cut or severely increased so that you can actually jump out, repair your tank, and possibly even out repair some of this damage. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous as it is right now. So that's going to be it there for the classes, guys. I hope you did enjoy it all. We are at 20 freaking minutes on this video. I swear I have not had a video yet that has been under like 15 minutes. I'm so sorry. But I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you enjoyed the footage in the background. You probably have seen it already because I've just run out of footage altogether. But if you have any comments, please leave them down below. I definitely appreciate the conversation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next installment of the beta or another alpha, whatever it may be. Because, buddy, Battlefield, it's looking like it's going to be a banger coming out here in October. Take it easy, guys. Have a good evening.